Hello, welcome back to Heretic Owl Tarot. My name is Liz and I will be guiding you on this journey today. These are the readings for the human design profile, and also there will be readings for the human design types. So stick around, for that. We're going to be using the Spellcaster's tarot, which I love because this is probably one of the first 5 tarot decks I ever got. And I haven't used this deck probably actually in years. So before every reading, I do ask the deck if it wants to do all 16 now of the readings, and I'll just shuffle until it kicks out basically like a yes or no card. And the one deck I wanted to use, because I also haven't used it in a few years, gave me the 3 of Swords and the 8 of Pentacles. And I was like, okay, you are not in the mood for work. So, so then like this one was actually sitting right next to it. And I was like, ooh, what about EU? And it was like an immediate yes. So I love that. Also, the other deck that I wanted to use, part of the reason why I went to that one was because this wasn't recent. It was like in the last couple months. I actually went back and watched the first videos that I put out. And I think that was in December of 2021. And I don't know, I just kind of wanted to see. I wanted to see how it was or whatever. I don't know. But I'm not going to lie. I also was really expecting to be kind of embarrassed or like cringe, and I really only listened to my Sun and Rising ones, but I was not embarrassed or like cringy or anything, honestly, at all. Like, I was actually really fucking proud of myself, which is so funny because I was not expecting that reaction, which, that kind of sucks. Like that, I really do need to like give myself a break. But I left a comment though on every video. And of course I just, copied and pasted, but I just left a comment that said, hey Liz, this is Liz from 2025. And I just want to tell you like how fucking proud I am of you because you started this, like I was so nervous and I thought for sure you were going to be able to hear it in my voice. I thought for sure I was going to be stumbling over my words. I thought for sure that, that I was just going to like be continuously losing my words because I do that a lot, and just fumbling all over the place, but I wasn't at all, or not maybe to the extent that I thought. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, so I left, a comment and I was just like, man, like I am so fucking proud of you. And you're the one that felt the fear and did it anyway. And granted, I don't know exactly what I said in that comment. I could look it up, but something along these lines, just telling myself I'm proud of myself, because that past version of me is why I'm even still here. And also why I'm going to be teaching an intro to tarot class at this wonderful, experience boutique next month, which I never thought I would do. So it's just, it was really cool. And I'm so glad that I did that too. Also, the other thing that was kind of funny is that in the intro of those videos, I was like, the acronym for Heretic Owl is HO. So I was like, if you're a hoe, subscribe to the channel. Or if you want to be a hoe, subscribe to the channel. Which I just think is absolutely hilarious. Like, hoe is one of my favorite endearing words. Like, I do not use it like at derogatory. I know people do. I don't, but yeah, so if you want to be a hoe, subscribe to the channel. Be a hoe with the rest of us. But also, like, you know, Heretic Owl Tarot is hot. So, you know, being a hoe makes you hot, you know, or whatever. I can't say, like, you know, do hot girl shit because I don't know if Megan Thee Stallion trademarked that. But anyway, just funny. Just funny. And also too, like I said, like I just remember being so fucking nervous. I literally, I had a phone that barely had any memory on it. I had a computer that barely had any. I could literally only do one video at a time because I didn't have memory or storage on like any device, you know, to actually do multiple videos at a time. And I was using like a folding table, and I had I should have grabbed it actually. I had my little owl stone or whatever, which I do still have. But anyway, yeah, very cool. So that's all I'll say. This is the second time I'm actually recording this intro because the first time I was like blabbering on for literally like 15 minutes. So that's it. Oh, that's not it. We're going to do these readings a little bit different this time. And this is also like the way that I've been reading for myself lately. I've been pulling like 2 sets of cards. The first set is the lie, which is the obstacle, or of course, I mean, literally the lie, right? That we're either telling ourselves that usually is like what we're telling ourselves. You know, it could be the limiting belief, old stuff, you know, whatever is also like holding you back or keeping you small. And then the other side is going to be the truth. And of course, right, I mean, I feel like that is pretty self-explanatory. It's a little bit similar-ish to the 333 readings that I do, which is like the door and the key. Similar-ish. But I've already done the 1-3 reading actually, and oh my gosh, that was beautiful. So no doubt all of these readings will turn out that way. And also I believe that the truth is so imperative right now, and especially because we are being bombarded with the depth and the expanse of lies that literally like our whole lives, you know, like the economy, the government, the, you know, the, you know, billionaire class, or, you know, like whatever you want to, whatever, you know, we are literally being bombarded with like how much of that shit is lies, how much we've been fed, you know, like lie wise. And, I think it is imperative, like I said, right now to really hone in on your truth, accept what is true for you as well. And also, again, like even recognize the lies that we're telling ourselves, the limiting beliefs that we're telling ourselves, the identities that we've been, you know, carrying around or operating from, the conditioning, really. Because, you know, I mean, with human design, like a big part of it is the deconditioning process. And I really do think that by more people honoring their own truth, it really is, you know, going to shift the world. So that's kind of also like where that's coming from. So I will officially leave it there, and we'll get into the readings. Great. So this is a reading for the 1-3 human design profile. If you don't know your human design profile, there is a link in the description for you to get your human design body graph, and your profile will be listed on there. Your type will be listed on there as well, so look out for those readings once I get them posted. And like I said in the intro, we're going to pull a couple cards for what is a lie, and we're going to pull a couple cards for what is the truth of your situation, of like what you need to, basically what you need to hear. And we'll see how it goes. So what is the lie for our 1-3s? Seven of Cups, and maybe just one more, maybe, or something. Whoop. That's one too many. But we have this one over here, the Hermit. Seven of Cups and the Hermit. So what is the truth? The Lovers. And the Page of Cups. For YouTube sake. Temperance at the bottom of the deck. We'll see if we use the bottom of the deck. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. And also, like, as I was shuffling, I think I'm gonna maybe switch it. Okay, as I was shuffling, I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, okay, we're doing the lie, we're doing the truth, which is pretty much like what I do for the 333 readings that I've been doing, which is the door and the key. The door represents, an obstacle or, a situation that you're coming up to or that you're facing. Because, when we think of doors, right, like we think about passage and walking through them and opportunity and whatever. And if they're closed, then there's some sort of, again, like either an obstacle there or limiting belief or fear, maybe even something that like we have to deal with before we can walk through the door. And then the key is basically like the advice or like the solution, resolution, the path forward. So yeah, I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna part of me is like, I don't know if I'm gonna redo the intro. I don't think so. I think I'll maybe just spend 2 minutes explaining, hey, it's kind of basically like the door and the key thing that I do for the 333 readings. Anyway, semantics, I feel. You know what's interesting? The first thing that I noticed in both of these cards, or all of these cards, both of these, whatever word I'm looking for, is that we have this square with a triangle here. And I'm going to look in the book to see if it talks about that symbol, because I don't know what it is. And then we have in the Lover's card over here a heart with just an X through it. It was kind of like, to me, like representing the sun. So that's interesting. And then also in the Seven of Cups and the Hermit card, we have this crescent moon in both cards. That is, represented differently. Like this one isn't as illuminated as this one, right? And maybe it's because, who knows? I like trying to explain that would probably also be getting into semantics, which, I also wonder if you find yourself getting into semantics or getting into the weeds of things. It's like pointless detail or not necessarily pointless detail, because is there such a thing? Maybe. But like maybe even like pulling in too much information that you're placing importance on, but it's not necessarily important. Maybe even like trying to over explain. But And then over here in the Lover's card in the Page of Cups, we have this full moon. And then, again, we have this heart here. And just the similarities. So that was like the first thing that popped into my head. Or the first thing that I noticed. Let me see if this book... It does not. It does not mention what that symbol is. I can Google it. Desires, fantasy, temptation, illusion, not yet attained or unattained desires, dreaming and the dream realm, shallow goals and interests, profit, treasure, lust, a wish, contemplated infidelity, a pipe dream, failure to recognize the reality of a situation, a more practical plan is needed. And let's see. What can I type? It's like giving me all this math or geometry or whatever the hell that is. No. Maybe sacred geometry. Can you hear my dog dreaming? A square with a triangle inside of it. It often symbolizes the fusion of opposing principles such as the material world, square, and creative spirit of fire, triangle. Interesting. I also want to look up the turtle. Groundedness, patience, and divine timing, encouraging a slow and steady approach to life's challenges. It represents protection, wisdom, longevity, and a deep connection to Mother Earth, guiding individuals to trust their intuition and maintain emotional strength. Because there's a little turtle down here. And also, like, turtles have been just showing up around me lately. Not actual turtles. I mean, I would love that, but not like real. But just seeing turtles. And, I mean, the whole thing, like the tortoise and the hare, right? And how steady progress versus moving too far ahead, or even just because I think the hare in that story maybe takes a nap or something. I could Google it, but for some reason I don't want to. But and then like thinking that they had plenty of time, or thinking that they were that much ahead where the tortoise wasn't going to catch up with them, and then the tortoise passes them because, again, just steady movement forward. So anyway, the Seven of Cups, and also interesting too, like I was talking about, either getting lost in the weeds or like getting too much into semantics. That could even be like the Seven of Cups too. They're hovering over this, kind of marsh or swampy looking thing. And there are like these flowers, or maybe they're weeds, like really pretty weeds like that have flowers on them, like weeds do, But also interesting how in my little intro, I kind of went on this tangent about my own natal like transits that are happening, and a little bit about how those have manifested for me. And all of these symbols above these cups are astrology, symbols. The moon, Mercury, Saturn, Venus, Jupiter, the sun, and Mars. A lot of those are in Aquarius. A lot of them are going to be moving to Pisces soon. I don't know where the moon is right now. I know that we have an eclipse coming up, though, in Aquarius. So it's got to be in Capricorn, maybe? And again, I know we're talking human design here, but, astrology is incorporated with that as well. No, it's already in Aquarius. Okay. Oh, it's like it's hanging out with Pluto right now. Come on. Why is this? Thank you. Yeah. Oh, okay. So, I'm glad I pulled this up. So the moon, Mars, and the sun are in Aquarius right now. Mercury, and Venus are in Pisces already. Saturn just moved into Aries. Jupiter is still in Cancer. But, I know, depending, of course, on how familiar you are. Like, again, I don't want to get lost in the weeds on that either, but it is interesting how there are these symbols for the planets. So whether you are familiar or whether you're aware of where these placements are in your particular chart or not, there's still things happening out there that are affecting or have an influence on our lives. Again, like whether we are aware of it or not. And that could also be what is creating the feeling of getting lost in the weeds, or again, like just maybe even putting emphasis on things that don't matter. And maybe they do in some other context, but for this one, they don't. But for whatever reason, they're coming up. Which is interesting. And then with the Hermit card, that's Virgo, which is ruled by Mercury. But this is a card about being a lone wolf and, going within, healing, meditation, isolation. Anytime the Hermit card comes out, I'm always like, it's this recognition that your path is unique to you. And it's honoring that path. And it's about alignment, and it's about taking aligned action towards what feels good for you. And this could even be like strategy and authority, right? Because truly, like, your strategy and authority is designed to help you enter into the correct, quote unquote, experiences, and also when to leave those experiences as well. And you do have the third line in the design side of things. And the third line is about making and breaking bonds. It's, experiencing life bumping up against you, having those experiences, but then also recognizing when you got what you needed to get from the experience. And even too, like we have, which is kind of interesting because like I said, right, this is really pretty similar to the door and the key readings that that I'm also doing. But they have this key ring here. There's a couple keys on the floor too. They have, this candle that they're trying to keep lit so that they can navigate and get through this. There's this big ass tree and there's some rocks there that they have to be able to see so they don't, trip. But it is interesting that both of these cards are depicted at night. Both of these cards are depicted during the day. There could be just something that maybe like you're mulling over at night, like maybe when you lay in bed, it's just kind of like things start going, like your brain starts going. And also even these symbols over here, the moon represents our emotional body, how we express our emotions, how we feel them, right? Like our awareness of those emotions, and maybe even too, like what impacts or what, I guess impacts our emotions. Mercury is about communication. Saturn is discipline, limits, delays. Venus is beauty, relationships, love. Mars is aggression, being assertive, oomph, The sun is our identity out in the world, like how we illuminate, like how we shine, how people see us as well. And then Jupiter is the planet of expansion. So, all of that is to say, like, are there areas of your life that you are exploring regarding those themes? Because obviously, like, this isn't all of the planets, right? Like, that's not all of the ones that are considered in astrology. But is there something where all of those things are kind of in front of you, and you're having to almost face those things within yourself? Maybe it's things that are being avoided. Maybe there's also confusion there, avoidance, even illusion could be, of course, in, again, cups, again, I don't even think I said it. Cups have to do with our emotions. The Seven of Cups, I did already, share what the book was saying about it, but there are all these different options here. And that can be overstimulating or overwhelming to consider multiple different things. But it's also like deciding, how does that fit in to your path, to your life, to who you are? There could be some things that are changing. It's also interesting because I did look at the book, because I was like, I just want to make sure I'm not missing something. It's really interesting because the book specifically mentions, just as the lovers, which we have out here as well, just as the lovers can represent the choice of a domestic lifestyle shared with another, the hermit represents a life of solitary spiritual seeking, symbolizing isolation, solitude, contemplation, wandering, and introspection. The hermit epitomizes the concept of soul searching, forever looking for the invisible and forever grasping at the intangible. He is his own God, and only by looking within himself will he discover what he seeks. While strength shines its light outward, the hermit shines its light inward, keeping the treasures of his heart and mind all to himself. Such a life can get lonely, and the hermit reminds us that although we must ultimately walk the path alone, a little company along the way definitely make the journey a little brighter. That's interesting. I'm glad I fucking read that. And also how, like, the odds, bro, the odds that we would also have the Lover's card out here, and the hermit in the book specifically talks about I wonder if there is a decision that either you feel is like inevitable, or a decision that you feel you have to make in order to not be alone or not feel alone or not, wind up alone or whatever. I might have just like repeated the same thing in different ways, but I do wonder if internally, because this is not something that you are necessarily saying out loud. And especially too, because like I said, like both of these cards are depicted of, being at night. These cards are like during the day, right? So nighttime is the things that are hidden, the things that we don't show other people. It's the subconscious, private, right? And daytime, or like, the sun is what we do share with other people, what other people see in us, what we allow to be shown, to other people, how we express ourselves. So I do wonder if it is just maybe an internal thing that's going on with you, where you're like, if I take a different path, then I am going to be alone on that path, or the way that maybe you're even viewing it, like the options that you have here, the way that you're viewing it, you see it as a life of solitude, or it's like there's no gray area. It's either this or like it's that. So that is really interesting. God, I'm glad I read that. Because then over here we have, again, the Lovers, which is also Mercury, because it's Gemini. Where's Mercury? What did I say? It's in Pisces right now. And I believe possibility that we're in the shadow of Mercury retrograde right now. It's not retrograde. Yeah, it is. JK. Yeah, it is. It is retrograde already. So we are in Mercury retrograde. WTF. Retrograde February. No. Why did that have an R? That is an R. Oh, no, it's not. It's a... It's like an apostrophe or whatever. God. Hilarious. Oh, that is an R. Jupiter is in retrograde. Oh my goodness. Mercury officially goes retrograde on the 26th. So, like I said, like we might be in the shadow, period of Mercury retrograde. But the odds of the two Mercury cards coming out here, this is why I love tarot. Ever since the Page of Cups came out, I've been wanting to read from the book. A creative individual who is an artist, musician, or writer, a muse, a lighthearted person, a playful person, a romantic interest, the excitement of new love, puppy love, fun, creativity, happiness, an offer of love, love and emotion, the arts, a new creative project springs to life, romance, inebriation, playfulness, frivolity, a lighthearted attitude, one who lives life with zest and passion, an open heart. Part of me is like, I feel like the depiction of this card is a little extreme. And then the lover says the quintessential expression of human love and affection. The lovers represents the need and desire to share the treasures of our heart with another, while the Hierophant represents the yoke of society and the ties that bind us with worldly ambition. The lovers symbolizes attachments built from love, desire, and compassion felt between individuals. Pursuing fulfillment of this natural desire for love is but one choice that may be made, and if the path is chosen, one should be aware that it's often a route that can never quite be retraced. Your heart may be broken at each step of the journey, but it can also find healing and fulfillment in an instant. The Lovers reminds us that love is a choice we have every moment of every day. It is not so much a destination as an active creation and a path from which there is often no turning back. Dude, I want to drop a mother effing tear reading that. Holy crap. Let's also just take a moment to realize that on this card, like, we really can't tell if there's a male and a female, right? Like, this can, of course, be relationships. It can be romantic, right? It could be friendships. It could be whatever. It could be even just like your relationship to your own life. Like, over here, are you telling yourself that it can only be one certain way? Right? And because you have been doing things a certain way, or you have been in a certain connection, if you have been friends, if you've had a job, if you've whatever the case may be, even patterns and behaviors, thought process, beliefs. And if you were to step outside of those things, that you would lose everything, or that you would lose yourself, or that you wouldn't find happiness, or if you're concerned about other people and how that would have an impact on them, please stop that. Like, I don't even know how else really to like say that like, we cannot be responsible. We also cannot keep ourselves in relationships, friendships, jobs, patterns, behaviors that are not healthy for us, or are keeping us small, keeping us boxed in, preventing us from experiencing love, because we're worried about another person's reaction to our decisions. That is for them to work through, But over here, and like I said, I'm so glad that I read, because this is very indulgent with the Page of Cups, right? And there's two men, there's a woman here that, like, her robe is exposing her, and I'm just kind of like, it has a vibe to me, and maybe I'm just projecting, who knows. But I'm so glad that I read the book, because this is also not saying to just go out and party, or have relations with people or whatever, right? Like, that's not at all, to me anyway, what the book actually said, but it is like exploring creativity and explore. This is like exploring expansion of even like life experience, and figuring out what are things that excite you, and other ways for you to be creative, versus over here it's like being kept in a container. It's being kept in your emotional body, maybe even feeling like you have to express yourself in such a way where it's muted or in secret, you know? Again, I mean, you could be worried about judgment. You could be, but if you're worried about judgment, it's because you're judging yourself. It's not because you're worried about, judgment from other people. Sure, I mean, that can of course be in there, but it's because you're judging yourself. Because also too, like however they judge you is probably not going to be the same story that you're judging yourself with. Like over here feels constricted. Over here feels, I keep forgetting that the stone is on here. It freaks me out. Over here feels expansive, and it feels like making connections. Clearly. Over here, there's literally one card on the Hermit card. There's not even a person on the Seven of Cups. There are multiple people on the Lovers and the Page of Cups. This is like almost allowing yourself to live. Whereas this is like, again, like really it like keeping a chokehold on yourself for whatever reason. I don't know what that reason is. And then over here, there's all this possibility to grow and even hone in on your creative expression, how you want to experience life, how you want to experience connection. And maybe over here, it's like, this is what I think I want because this is just what I've been doing. But then over here, it's like, oh my, I had no idea this was even a possibility. I had no idea that there's like so many colors, right? It's like that movie, is it Pleasantville? With like Reese Witherspoon and Tobey Maguire, I think. And it's like it starts in black and white. And then it's actually the women who start experiencing pleasure, right? That make them turn to color. We should watch that. 1998 film. The colors appearing as they discover their humanity, the music. And how there was one character who was trying to hide her coloration with makeup. I don't know. Anyway, honestly, just watch the movie. I was like trying to find just like a simple, let's see what this is. Like just a simple like overview. Two 1990s teenage siblings find themselves transported to a 1950s sitcom where their influence begins to profoundly change the colorless, complacent world. Like, that is a really good analogy for like, we even have the rainbow over here too. So, okay, I'm going to leave it there because I kind of feel like I'm just going to start repeating myself, and I hope that made sense. And also, I think that's a fucking amazing start to these readings, and I'm glad that we're doing them this way. All right, I will talk to you soon. Bye.